Thank you very much for having us this evening, your time. But I understand Ethiopia Airlines has just opened its Skylight Hotel Phase 2. What's the strategic importance of this hotel to achieving the 15-year plan of Ethiopia Airlines that you set for yourself?
Okay, thank you. Thank you giving me the opportunity to explain your questions. Ethiopian Airlines is following a 15-year strategy, and a core component of that strategy is to develop the airline as a group of interrelated business units that are related to the air transport industry. One of the business units is the hotel and hospitality, which is required to be developed. Ethiopian Airlines built the first phase of this hotel, we call it Ethiopian Skylight Hotel, before 4 years. And last week, we expanded the hotel and inaugurated phase 2 of the hotel. This hotel contributes to Ethiopian Airlines Group in 3 ways. The first goal is to accommodate Ethiopian Airlines transit passengers passing through the Addis Ababa airport who will lay over in Addis Ababa for a day or 2. In the past, we used to have a problem of accommodating them, and this hotel will support the passenger operation by providing a comfortable accommodation for the passengers. The second contribution will be to generate additional revenue to the group by providing hospitality service to customers. And the third one is it will help in developing tourism, conferences, and trade in Ethiopia, which is part of the mission of Ethiopian Airlines. So these are the 3 core objectives or goals that Ethiopian Airlines set to establish this hotel.
Mr. Bekele, we've heard reports about Ethiopia Airlines being the fastest growing airline in Africa. What would you say accounts for this feat, and how do you plan to sustain it?
Yes, today Ethiopian Airlines is the leading airline in Africa, and it could reach to this level because it followed a 15-year long-term strategic roadmap. A core guiding principle of this long-term strategy is fast, profitable, sustainable growth. During the last 18 years, Ethiopian Airlines has been growing fast by modernizing its fleet, expanding its network, and investing on different components of infrastructure. These investments on infrastructure and fleet modernization, human resource enabled us to grow fast, consistent with our strategic roadmap.
Now, let me take you back a little bit, because, you know, a lot of African airlines have folded in the past. During independence, a lot of them have airlines. You are now partnering with a lot of them to revive some airlines. So what makes your organization a positive African story? In other words, how did you achieve this?
Yeah, as I said earlier, one of the key enablers of our success is to have, number one, to have a vision and a long-term strategic roadmap, and our development of internal competency to successfully implement this long-term strategic roadmap. In addition to that, the African air transport industry was badly affected during the COVID period. When COVID became pandemic in March of 2020, nearly all airlines stopped flying. They grounded their aircraft, they stopped flying. Some of them laid off their employees. But this was not what Ethiopian Airlines followed. Instead, Ethiopian Airlines identified two opportunities amid those challenging times. The first one was cargo. Instead of grounding our airplanes, we continued operating to transport cargo, focusing on medical supplies, like the personal protective equipment, and that was followed by test kits, which was again followed by the requirement to transport vaccines. So we focused on cargo operation and generated enough money that kept us to continue without downsizing and instead expanding in some way. The second opportunity that we identified was repatriation of people who were stranded in different countries and who wanted to go back to their home countries. So we operated several charter passenger operations and augmented the money that we generated from cargo. These two sources of revenue enabled us not only to continue operating, but also to stay profitable during the COVID period. This agility enabled us to remain successful even at the most difficult time of COVID. In the future, when other airlines are now recovering from COVID, we already started recovering from COVID much earlier, and now we have fully recovered, both in terms of passenger operation and cargo operation. At this time, we have developed an updated 15-year strategy. We call it Vision 2035, and it outlines new targets that we aspire to achieve by 2035. In addition to that, it maps out the strategies that we have to follow to realize our revised long-term goals.
Talking about your long-term goals, ahead of this interview, I was reading some local media reports about Ethiopian Airlines, and I read that reports that the organization has achieved a strategic plan of 2025 way ahead of time. What was the plan, and what steps did you take to actualize it that made you to revise it to a new 15-year plan?
Yeah, in our Vision 2025 strategic plan, we set a goal of becoming the leading airline in Africa by 2025. Because when we developed this strategy in 2010, there were a few airlines who were bigger than Ethiopian Airlines and operating at a bigger volume. So our goal was to become the leading airline in Africa, and we achieved it before several years. We became the leading airline, the largest airline in Africa, at least before 5 years. We had other goals as well. For example, in our Vision 2025, we set a goal of flying to 92 international destinations. But now, before we reach 2025, we are flying to 131 international destinations. Our fleet plan indicated that we would reach, in terms of number of aircraft, 112 by 2025, but already we are operating 140 aircraft, even now. In terms of passenger, the goal was to achieve 17 million passengers, but in 2019, we reached 13 million, and we would have exceeded the target much earlier than 2025, but COVID dragged us during the last 3 years, and this year we have just fully recovered to 2019. We have 2 more years before we reach 2025, and we expect to achieve Vision 2025 figure in terms of the number of passengers we carry. If you take cargo, our plan was to carry 710 tons of cargo by 2025, but even last year, we carried over 767 tons of cargo annually, which is higher than what we planned under Vision 2025. So in most parameters, we have already exceeded our targets set in Vision 2025.
Well, I'm sure you've heard some of your critics say that Ethiopian Airlines, some of the airlines are old and all that, but we also heard that you've taken delivery of some new planes. Talk to me about the new acquisition of these new planes, and I understand also that it's part of the effort to reduce your carbon print on as an organization. Talk to me about it.
Yes. One of the pillars of Vision 2025 was to modernize our fleet. And during the last 13 years, we have invested a lot of money to modernize our fleet. And now the average age of the airplanes that we operate is around 7 years. Our fleet includes state-of-the-art, modern, the most recent technology commercial airplanes, both from Boeing and Airbus. That is why we are having a very young fleet, or a fleet composed of young airplanes. And these airplanes, in addition to improving the customer service that we offer to our customers, they provide less less consumption of jet fuel, which means less emission of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. And our plan is to continue modernizing our fleet, operating one of the youngest fleet in the industry. This is part of our strategy.
Before you go, Mr. CEO Bekele, from where you sit as the Chief Executive Officer of Ethiopian Airlines, what would you say are the future prospects of your organization or your brand?
Look, today Ethiopian Airlines is recognized as the best airline in Africa. In fact, during the last 5 years, consistently, we have been granted as the award or recognition as the best airline in Africa. And we could achieve this because of the excellent customer service that we provide to our passengers, the reliable operation we conduct, and the age of the fleet that we operate, and our performance in terms of profitability. All this gave us the best brand in Africa. In our Vision 2035, we have set new targets that will enhance our performance in terms of customer service, efficiency, environmental friendliness, uh, continuing modernizing our fleet, and providing more digital service, digitizing the customer service that we provide. All these things will enable us not only to maintain our current brand, but to enhance it to new heights.
Thank you very much, Mr. CEO, for speaking with the Voice of America News. Or should I say Amasakalalo?
Thank you very much. እኔም አመሰግናለሁ means I also thank you.
Thank you. So say hello to all your colleagues for me who are around, and we look forward to more engagements like this.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it, and I hope we'll talk again.
Absolutely. All the best. All the best. Thank you. And good luck.
Thank you very much. Have a good day to you. Good evening for us.
All right. Good evening for you. Yes. Thank you very much.